So by now you probably have a bunch of overnight and weekend camping trips under your belt, and you've probably figured out about how much food you need to bring with you on one of those shorter trips. Or if you're like me, when you started you probably found out you brought way too much food and you ended up bringing home about half of what you brought with you. Don't worry, everybody does that. But now that you've gotten out, you found out you really like camping and the backpacking and hiking lifestyle, you're thinking of trying something a little bit different, maybe more adventurous. So 3, 4, 5 day hiking trip, possibly even a through hike, maybe. And you're probably wondering about what you need to bring with you to make it through a longer stretch like that. Hi, I'm Adam, this is Go To Outdoors, and today I'm going to be going over my average 5-day food loadout and how I pack it into one of my bags. Obviously this isn't a bag, this is my bear vault. The same principle applies to both. So let's get into it. Now, I know right off the bat you're probably thinking, wow, that looks like a whole lot of food. Do you really need that much? Yes and no. No, if you're just going to be going out for like a 3, 4, or 5 day camping trip and you're not going to be hiking 10, 15, 20, 25 miles in a given day. If you're just camping, yeah, this might even last you a whole week because you could stretch it a little bit more. Now, if you're going to be going on one of the longer distance backpacking trips or even a through hike where you're averaging between 15 and 25 miles on a given day, this food may not even be enough. And I say that because the average through hiker burns between 4,000 and 6,000 calories every single day. And that's not just people built like me. That's for all the little tiny 115, 120 pound runners as well. I mean, they just burn through calories because it's what you do when you cover that kind of mileage. So all this food right here, I say is my average loadout because I change it up a little bit, and honestly I may even add to it. Okay, so what I was saying before, this is my loadout for about 5 days worth of food. And I say almost because I typically add a couple things when I get to towns that I don't, buy ahead of time. Obviously, things like cheese sticks, possibly even sticks of butter. Things I tend to toss into my food bag for extra calories or protein or things like that. So all in all, this is my basic average 5-day loadout. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you might notice whenever I'm packing what I keep my food in, I have everything in separate Ziploc bags. These things can be a game changer, especially if something happens to get in there, something happens to get wet. It won't ruin everything. So it's kind of a way to compartmentalize everything, and it's a great way to store all your trash individually when you're done with your particular meal. So let's go ahead and start with breakfast real quick. Now remember, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, especially for a hiker, because you're gonna wanna have your energy going to last you through the whole day. So I typically start off with a pair of oatmeal packets. Now, I'm not sick of oatmeal yet, and something that actually probably contributes to that is the fact that I buy the varieties. It changes things up enough to keep it good, and I always start the day with coffee. Now, I don't always drink both of these when I first wake up, but I can tell you that I need coffee whenever I'm hiking because there are days when I didn't have it that I felt awful. And I mean awful. So, I usually start one of these, get this going, and then I start making my oatmeal and things like that. For me, that gives it time to cool down enough to be palatable by the time I'm sitting and eating breakfast. There are times when I will actually add one of the Carnation instant breakfasts along with my coffee. There are times when I will pour this into my oatmeal. It depends on the day. I like to switch things up. Like I said, when you're eating the same meal day after day after day, just do what you can to spice it up a bit. It just keeps things interesting, helps you not get completely sick of one thing after another. Trust me on this one. There are things that I don't want to touch anymore. And if you ask any through hiker out there, there's things that a lot of them just won't touch. They see it, they smell it, they get sick of it. So there's my 5 breakfasts for a given 5-day stretch. You'll notice that I do have each of these breakfasts in its own separate Ziploc bag, and I do that because there's 6 pieces of garbage that come along with each one of these particular meals, and that's if I don't add anything else to it, so it just helps keep cleanup a bit simpler. Now my second bag is what I call my lunch bag, and typically when I stop for lunch I have a tuna packet and a Cliff Bar. They don't sound like they go together, but trust me, when you're out on trail, anything goes. Let me find a quick clip here for one of the funkiest things I ever made. Just chilling here with one of my new amigos, Andrew. We've been hiking together for a couple days now. Just enjoying lunch. I mean, Can't complain about this view at all. Of course, first lunch I've actually taken since I started. Eating a what the F ever wrap. It's peanut butter jelly and a Snickers bar on a jalapeno cheddar tortilla. I don't care. We're just out here having a good time. See what I mean? Anyway, you'll notice I only have 3 of each of these. Now, I do that because I don't always stop for lunch. It's just how I hike. Once I'm moving, I tend to keep moving. I generally only stop if I'm filling up for water or, if I get too hot, things like that. I don't like to stop when I'm in the day because once I'm moving, I have a goal in mind for that day and I want to see myself to that goal. So I go a little bit light on lunches. Now, I do typically carry snacks and things like that, but I don't, like I said before, I don't buy those beforehand because my snacks typically tend to be high protein or quick energy, like cheese sticks or a peanut butter packet, things like that, that typically by themselves weigh a little bit more than a lot of the drier products or prepackaged products that you might find in the store, but something that has a quick hit of calories, quick hit of energy and protein to keep me going through to dinner. So now we're on to dinner, and you might notice right offhand that I have a lot of ramen. Typically for my 5-day stretches, I carry 8 ramen packs and a pair of Knorr pasta sides. Dinner is where I make up most of the calories for the day, so I tend to eat heavy at night. It kind of helps me sleep a little bit better, and I just feel like it's a bit of a reward after the end of a long day of hiking. And of course, ramen being ramen, it's simple, it's noodles, it's carbs. It doesn't have really protein or anything other than carbs for you. So I typically add in Spam singles or spare tuna packs that I have left over if I haven't had them for snacks and lunch breaks, things like that. So you really want to find some way to add protein into your evening meal. I've found that it helps me recover a little bit better. Regardless of when you have it, you're going to want to have protein in your diet. You're going to need it because otherwise your body's going to start eating your muscles. Your breath is going to smell like acetone. You're going to smell like cat pee because your body's kind of eating itself. So find a way to add protein to your meals. I will tell you one thing, specifically with the beef ramen. If you go out and you get something like a big old package of beef jerky, you boil it in there with it, it really makes everything better. If you can find packets of chicken, like the tuna packs that I have, there's also Starkist chicken packets or chicken creations, things like that. I will toss one of those into my ramen at the end of the night, just something to help me get the protein that I need. Now, one thing I will always roll extra heavy on is the electrolyte packets, something I always keep on hand, and I always have way more than I think I need because when it gets hot enough out, I will be putting one of these in every single bottle of water that I filter because I sweat a lot. May not be necessary for everybody, but I don't ever want to have a feeling where I'm dehydrated because when you're outside and you're feeling dehydrated, it's already too late. You have to stop, you need to drink a lot more water, and you need to reprocess that in for yourself. So just a little bit of prevention for me personally to help me keep going, especially when it gets hot out. Now, in terms of the brands that I actually prefer for my electrolyte packets, this one right here is actually the Sqwincher Quik Stiks. And I carry a couple different flavors on hand at a given time, again, to change things up and keep things good. But the other flavor, or the other brand that I tend to use is actually the Gatorade G2s. Now, don't have any of those with me right now because I have plenty of these laying around. But the reason I pick these is not only because of the size of the individual packets. As you can see, those are kind of small, and you get a lot of flavor out of one of these. I typically just throw one of these into a 1-liter Smart Water bottle, and that's enough. It's kind of just flavors it a little bit. It's not overpoweringly sweet or anything like that. Now, like I said, I tried the liquid IVs, but the 2 reasons I really don't like using that is, well, one, it's very expensive, relatively speaking. It's about $1.50 a serving. And also, one liquid IV pouch is about 5 times the weight of one of these Sqwinchers. So it's kind of a win-win for the Sqwinchers and the G2s. On average, I can buy a 50-pack of one of the Sqwinchers for about $16 to $17, and for the Gatorade G2s, I typically find those anywhere between $14 and $16. And I'm actually going to link both of those down below if you want to pick up some for yourself, because, I mean, it doesn't weigh much if you want to bring the whole 50-pack with you. Now, one thing I will mention on the Gatorade G2s is they do have those individual boxes they come in of 10, so you have to sort those out, but just get a Ziploc and you're good to go. And the last thing I will always have on hand to put in my food bag or bear canister here is Ziplocks. Now, of course, I have the 1 gallon Ziploc here. That's going to be my garbage bag. You're going to want a garbage bag that seals. You don't want to just have like a grocery bag or something else like that that you just tie off every time you put garbage in there, because it's going to end up smelling terrible. Whether you have dehydrated meals that you put back in there or tuna packs, at the end of a few days of tuna packs, you know, kind of fermenting inside of your food canister, that's going to smell like death. So if you can seal that shut, do yourself a favor. So keep a 1 gallon on hand for garbage. Also keep a couple quart Ziploc bags on hand. You won't always need them, you won't always go through them, but they're good to have on hand in case you find yourself stopping in a town somewhere and you want to grab like a box of Cheez-Its or something else with a box of packaging that you want to divvy up into individual portions. So keep a couple quart Ziplocs on hand just to help, you know, split things up evenly and make it easier to carry things. So now that we've gone over my average basic 5-day loadout, I'll show you how I actually pack it into one of these things. Now, obviously for my Florida trail trip, I'm bringing a bear canister as opposed to using my food hanging bag that I got from Z-Packs. But the principle's the same. You kind of pack it in the same order. You don't want to put one meal all the way at the bottom, because then you're going to be rooting around for everything, and just in order to save yourself time at the end of the night, pack everything kind of horizontally. So I'll show you how I do it. The first thing I pack in is going to be my dinner bags. Of course, this is going to be my ramen and my Knorr pasta sides. So those go in there. So obviously, those take up the vast majority of room, so we kind of have to work around that now. Now, because I am doing things in a kind of a horizontal way, I won't be kind of stuck getting one thing first every single time. So after I do that, now is when I pack my breakfasts. Because these are smaller packages, and I can make them so they kind of fit around everything, that's what I do. Oh, there's a fox. That's ripe. Anyway, keep packing. You gotta get used to smelling things when you're outside. Okay, so as you can see, the outside is typically pretty much squared away once I get the breakfast and dinners in there. The roll of Ziplocks, I have one space left that I slide these down, like so. So once your breakfasts and your dinners are packed away, now you kind of set things up, and now you just put things in the top that are more or less quick access. And by that, I mean my Spam and my tuna packs and snacks. Like, in case I didn't say it earlier, there are times when I'll switch up a Spam packet for a tuna packet or a Cliff Bar or something at lunch, just to, you know, keep myself in a bit of variety. So there it is. So put them on top. And last but not least, the electrolyte packets. These always go on top for me because I will always be getting these first. So that's my rough 5-day loadout. As you can see, there's a little bit of room left in the top and some kind of around the sides. That's where I'll be sticking in a couple extra snack items, things like that. One thing you will also want to keep inside of your food canister or your food bag is going to be your toothbrush and your toothpaste at night, as well as your bowl and utensils if they fit as well. Just anything that has a smell, generally speaking. If you happen to like carrying deodorant when you're with you on a shorter trip or something like that, I don't advise it, but you can if you want. Throw that in here as well at the end of the night. Anything that has a scent that could potentially attract animals to you or to your tent. Put it in here, hang it, keep it away from you. It's just an extra little ounce of prevention to keep you safe and to keep the critters safe in the long run. Now again, down below in the description, I will have a couple links to the electrolytes that I use, the Sqwincher packets and the Gatorade G2s. The Amazon link is the cheapest place I found them, and for their weight, it doesn't hurt to kind of stock up when you can find them. That said, that's my 5-day loadout. If you have any ideas or comments, feel free to leave those down below. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear them and I'd be happy to answer them. But that's all I got for you today. So like I always say, thanks again for watching. Make sure you find a reason to smile today, and I'll catch you in the next one.